Well, good afternoon and welcome back to Wayne. My name is Charles Gaylor and I have the honor of serving as the moderator for today's College and Community Forum. Our college has high expectations for itself, its students, and its leadership. We at Wayne Community College are fortunate to have these colleagues, these facilities, and these opportunities to attract leaders of the highest caliber. Today's event gives us a chance to hear from a seasoned higher education executive seeking to join our college as its president. Today's forum will serve as the primary opportunity for this candidate to show the entire campus community why they are the next president of Wayne Community College. Today's forum will last approximately 1 hour. After my brief introduction of the candidate, we will turn the microphone over for opening remarks. As soon as they are finished, we'll move through 3 pre-arranged questions. In the interest of fairness, as each of these forums is available in real time through a Zoom session, these first 3 questions have been shared with the candidate prior to today's event. All questions coming from the audience, however, are not prearranged and will be offered to us all in real time. When we reach the public question segment of the forum, those joining us in person in Moffett Auditorium are welcome to come to the front where there are microphones at the front of each aisle. Those joining through Zoom may type their questions into the chat box and they'll be passed along to me through Google Chat. We'll take as many questions as time permits, but at approximately 4:25, I will stop the public questions to leave time for our candidate to make closing remarks. As a reminder, today's forum and all remaining forums related to the president's search are available in streaming format through a Zoom link on the Presidential Search website. It is also being recorded and will be posted for later viewing. Lastly, and most importantly, our board needs your feedback as they weigh their options in this important decision. On our Presidential Search webpage, there is a link where you may submit your feedback. Please do so. All feedback will be communicated to the board for their consideration. This afternoon, we host Dr. Vern Lindquist. Dr. Lindquist is the Vice President of Academic Services at Lincoln Land Community College in Springfield, Illinois. Prior to this appointment, he served Richard Bland College of William and Mary in Petersburg, Virginia, as its Dean of Faculty and Chief Academic Officer. He has also served the State University of New York College of Technology at Delhi, in Delhi, New York, as its Dean of Liberal Arts and Sciences. However, he began his career in higher education administration at Sullivan County Community College in Loch Sheldrake, New York, an institution now known as the State University of New York Sullivan, where he served in multiple roles ranging from assistant professor to honors program coordinator to chair of the Arts and Letters Division. Dr. Lindquist holds a Bachelor of Arts in English from the University of Michigan, a Master of Arts from Indiana University, and a Doctor of Philosophy from Indiana University. With that, I'll yield the floor to our candidate for opening remarks and a more thorough review of your experiences and qualifications. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Dr. Vern Lindquist.
Thank you all very much. You're very kind, and thank you to those of you who are out on the interwebs. I know, and I want to thank the committee as well. I know they put a lot of time into this, and all of you have put a lot of time into the process. This is a very time-intensive thing to find a new leader for an institution, and it really is important that you put that time in. So I want to thank you for being here and for sharing some of that time with me. I know all of our resumes of all the candidates are available online. I'm sure you've looked at them. I'll do my best not just to repeat information that you've probably already seen there, but instead I can start with some good news. Since I did look at everyone's resumes, I can tell you that I don't know that you have a bad choice on the table. The good news is, even if you make a mistake and you don't choose me, you've got a great bunch of folks. I don't think there's anyone on the list who's not perfectly competent and capable of leading this institution. So I think what you're going to find is that it's more a sense of what's the style, what's the approach, how are things going to work with the institution, with me, with this person helping to kind of set the direction. So my goal for this period is to give you a sense of my personality, of my leadership style, I will, as you ask questions, try to listen as carefully as I can, and answer questions as thoroughly as I can, because that's what I do. So I won't rehash a bunch of things, but I want you to see, there are three things that you look for in a campus president. Obviously, they have to have good management skills. They need to have a sense of how to lead an institution, and they also need to be able to communicate a vision, and to be able to look ahead and to see the kinds of things that are coming down the pike, and to kind of help the institution weather those things, and sometimes not just weather them, but thrive in the face of them. So I'll give you just a couple of things that you won't find on my Vita, because why would they be there? I've been married to my wife for, it'll be 35 years. Most of those years are very happy. She's not here now. She's actually in the rental car driving around Goldsboro, trying to get a sense of what things are like here. I've been here before, but she has not, and so she's using this opportunity to get to know the community on her own terms, trying to find a cup of coffee and other things like that. I've got two children. They are grown. One of them lives just a couple hours north of here in Richmond, and so one of the things that attracts me about this position, other than the fact that I've had some experience at this college, I was very pleasantly affected by the experience I had here 5 years ago. So I'm delighted to be here for that reason, but also to be within spitting distance of my son as he sets up his new house would be kind of a gift. I will be going up to see him this weekend, so it'd be something I hope to continue to do for some time. I've been preparing for a position like this for 12 years. I did not start out in academia thinking I was going to be a college president. When I started out in academia, the college president was not the person I trusted. I frankly avoided him. I thought if he didn't know who I was, he couldn't fire me. So that was, and I'm man and boy now this spring. I will have been in higher ed 40 years. I know he doesn't look like I'm that old. My father says that I've just tried to figure out a way not to leave college. I liked it so much. And I think he's right. I was just really lucky to find a field where I could change what I did every few years, and it was still okay. So I started out being an English teacher. Before you know it, I'm teaching Latin, Anglo-Saxon, Intro to Philosophy. And then I decided to see maybe I could be a department chair. And I thought, well, that wasn't too bad. And then before you know it, I gave tenure up and decided to be an administrator, because I thought there were things that I could do to help make my institutions better. So I'm delighted to be here. I hope that during the course of these questions and answers, that you will indeed get a sense of how it might be like to see me on campus every day. I hope you won't avoid me the way I avoided my president, and that we can figure out a way in the challenging times that will be coming ahead of us to move the institution forward in ways so that we don't just survive, but that we can thrive. So I'm ready for your questions.
Wonderful. Thank you for those opening remarks. So with our first question, what attracted you to Wayne Community College and its surrounding community?
Well, as I said in my letter, I probably should have said this before, but I'm not, though I've prepared for a position like this for the last 12 years, I'm not actually on the market. I'm not applying to other positions. I applied to this position because 5 years ago, I had the honor to be on the SACS review team, and I had a really close look at the college. I really thought this is a pretty well-run school. It's in a lovely area of the country, and the people were just outstanding. I said, "This is wow! This would be the kind of place. If I were going to be a college president, I would love to be president of a place like this." Well, then of course I met President Kay at the time at the SACS meeting later, and congratulated her on leading her team through it and a job well done. And then she had a big grin on her face, and she had just told me, "Oh yeah, I'm going to retire now." And I said, "Well, could you hang on a couple more years? Because I'm not ready yet to apply, but it will be in a couple of years." And she obviously told me to get bent, and that was that. So anyway, a friend of mine saw the position and said, "Vern, isn't that the college that you had all these great things to say about?" I said, it is. I'm going to apply for that. So I did. 5 years ago, the downtown was just beginning to turn. You could see it was on the ups, and I said, "Boy, I can't wait to see what it's like now." And I took a quick drive through it earlier, and it is. This is really a lovely space. The program mix at this college is something I'm well familiar with now. The technical programs you have, I've got the airframe programs. I've got agricultural programs. Many of the technical programs are the same. I have a few more and a slightly different mix of healthcare programs, and most of the same workforce programs. That's something which would be a good mix and a good match for me as well. So the other thing is that even though right now I'm in a city that's a little bigger than Gouldsboro, I'm from a small town. I grew up in a small town. I know how small towns work. I was telling somebody earlier today that the town that I spent most of my time in New York was so small that if you got lost and couldn't find my house, all you had to do was go to the post office and say, "Where's the Lindquist house?" And they would send you there because there was just the one of them. So I like small places. I like the intimacy you get with that, the proximity to a bigger town. If I decide I need to go to Trader Joe's, that's good. And I do need to go to Trader Joe's. So that, and the other thing is the proximity to the military base. Richard Bland College is right down the street from Fort Lee, the biggest Army training facility in the country. I'm used to and proud of serving military students. I know that the challenges that can come with that. People come in and out of town, sometimes on a moment's notice, and there are lots of things you need to do to adjust for that. So, for all of those reasons, I think that this is the kind of place I need to be.
Excellent. Thank you. Question number 2. Please describe the role of president in fostering a diverse learning environment.
Well, I myself am a first generation student. That helps a lot because I still remember vividly what it was like to show up. For me, I went straight to the University of Michigan. It was not a good choice, most likely. I was from a small town, and I said, "You know what? I need to go someplace where everybody does not know my name. I don't want everybody to know my business. I want to just disappear," and I almost did. I didn't know how to navigate the system. I didn't own a belt. I mean, I didn't have anything. I didn't know how to buy textbooks. I was absolutely clueless. I didn't know you could drop classes. I knew nothing. No one in my family prepared me for this. I went home at Thanksgiving break and told my parents I thought, college is not for me. I think I need to go back to the grocery store. I had turned down the frozen food manager job, and I think I need to go back. And my father, who is an ex-Marine, made it clear to me that was not going to be an option. He did so in a very direct manner, and I went back and slowly adjusted. So I know what it's like to feel out of place and unprepared. And I think for a college president, it is really crucial that they keep the institution focused on making diversity, equity, and inclusion a core way that business is done, period. That is, you have to keep people focused on actionable projects that are meaningful, that will move the dial on the metrics that are not what you want them to be. It's easy when you start getting into the weeds of success rates for various groups of students to get into what I've heard called analysis paralysis. There's always another way to look at the data. You can always study it for one more semester. You can always try one more little pilot. Every time you do that, students are failing. Students are leaving your institution. I've said earlier today, they leave with a debt and an attitude. And time is our enemy here. Time is the enemy of people who don't have enough money. They need action quickly, and they need action that matters. So, if part of your diversity program is making sure that, during Hispanic Heritage Month, you have a really nice event, you are on the wrong track, in my opinion. That's window dressing. That's not important. What I need to do is to do an audit to figure out where are the places where the students I want to succeed are not succeeding. When does that happen? And what do I need to do to make that change? So the president cannot be the smartest person in the room. My father always told me, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in a small room. You need to bring the experts to bear who know where the tripping points are, and to come up with some ideas that will change them. And the other thing is that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to be a prophet in your own land. Everything that is going to happen here has happened somewhere else. Every program you can think of trying, somebody's already tried. Let's find some places where it's worked. Let's say, you know what, they're close enough to us. I think it's going to work here. Give it a go. And fail quickly. If it doesn't work, stop it and start something else. One thing that academics are really good at are starting new programs. One thing they're really horrible at is stopping doing things. We are probably doing things at every institution in this country just because we've always done them. So you have to figure out what you could stop doing that would also help your students. Right now, for instance, one of the things I'm proudest of at Lincoln Land is that we are not serving, in my estimation, very effectively, a large percentage of our population. On the Upper East Side of town, it's hard to get transportation. To come to the college by public transport would take about 2 hours, which means nobody does it. Coincidentally or not, that is the area of the highest concentration of African-American students in town. It is the most economically disadvantaged portion of town. And so those students, well, they don't fail out of my college because they don't come. They don't graduate from my college because they've never seen my campus. So we were trying to figure out what can we do to serve that population. We started 2 programs. The most successful one was I helped write a grant for about $1 million the first year. We got $1.25 million this year, called the Workforce Equity Initiative. What that allows me to do is for short-term training programs that are designed to lead directly into the workforce. For us, the biggest one was truck driver training. We also did CNA and Central Sterile Tech and one other, which I always forget when I tell this. But we get students directly into those programs. I pay the students to come to the programs. I don't charge them, I pay them. So they get a wage for showing up. They get transportation assistance and childcare assistance. Without these things, without these wraparound services, these students couldn't attend college. They just can't afford to. They can't give up their $9 an hour job because that's paying the rent. But if I can get them for 12 weeks to give up that $9 an hour job, now they've got their truck driver certificate, now they've got their CDL, and they're making $45,000, $50,000. That's life-changing money for families that may never have had someone with full-time job in the past. So it's those kinds of things that will matter. Now, folks from that area of town see the college as something relevant to them. Before that, I was irrelevant. They didn't care about us, but they do now, because now some of their friends have gone through this program, and they're talking about what kinds of things they can get from Lincoln Land. More generally, though, when you do something at your college which helps the at-risk population, you're helping everyone. Things that help an at-risk student help all students. So nobody gets damaged when you figure out how you can get students to not get a D or an F in their college math class or their college writing class. Nobody's harmed by that. Those are the things that the college president can help to affect. I can't change what happens in any particular class, but as a college president, I can help keep people focused on the big picture. And the big picture is, it is our job as educators to help the students in this area be successful, whatever successful means for them. They can't be successful if they don't come. They can't be successful if they don't stay. So that is absolutely key. Presidents need to make sure that that it's not just words. When you say that diversity and equity are important, that inclusion matters, it's actions that really speak louder than words.
Thank you. And lastly, please tell us your experiences and approach to building key community partnerships.
It happens after I drink water.
I could have given you just a second, couldn't I?
It's okay. Well, let me start back with the Workforce Equity Initiative. Writing that grant was not, though I did the bulk of the work on it, I could not have completed that grant without my community partners. For me, the major player there was we have a Black Chamber of Commerce in town. And when you go to the Chamber of Commerce meetings, you'll see why. There's still really not a good mixture in Springfield, unfortunately, of the two business communities. They really run in parallel. I needed to understand what I could do in this program to help students in that community see the college as something that was useful, relevant, and possible for them. And I could not have done it without reaching out to the Black Chamber. Those folks were kind enough to meet with me a number of times, helped read the grant, and then signed on as a support for it. We wouldn't have got the grant without them, and it was an amazing thing. I was a little nervous. I'd never actually gone to the Black Chamber before. They were all brand new people to me. Best thing I ever did. Now I see them downtown. We sit down, we talk. What can we do next? What's the next thing we can do for you? And we're working on another project. We want to try to revitalize some physical buildings in that area of town, and maybe start offering college classes there. If we can't get the bus to run down to the campus, we'll move the campus. So we're doing that. Other kinds of community partnerships. The biggest ones for me have been our major industry in Springfield is medical. There's always a big hospital near town, but we've got some teaching hospitals as well. There are 3 major medical institutions in Springfield, by far, other than government, the largest employer. They like to say the largest employer of people who actually work, because the rest of it is state government. So it's Illinois. Nobody in state government actually works. So I had a meeting, my team and I, with the CEO of Memorial Medical, the largest of the 3 groups, and the largest single employer, other than J.B. Pritzker, of people in Springfield. And I said, well, what can we do for you? He said, we have 400 open positions right now. 400. My nursing program can turn out 60 nurses a year. He said, at the rate you're giving me nurses, I will be fully staffed in 30 years. And he's a 65-year-old man. He'd be lucky to be here in 30 years. So, tick-tock. So what can we do? So I said, well, let me think about it. And I talked to my nursing person, and I came back with a proposal. I said, we will bring our total in the program to 250 students, which means I can graduate 125 a year. And he said, that's great. I said, great. It will cost you $6 million for a 5-year period. I need to redo a building. And in addition, after that 5-year period, I'm going to need additional assistance, because as expensive as the building is, as expensive as the simulation dummies are, the faculty are the biggest ongoing cost in such a program. I need them. And he didn't blink. He said, okay. Now, that's not because I'm magic. The reason he did that is that, and he admitted this later, he said, you could have asked for any amount of money I was going to give to you. They don't have enough nurses and other staff, so they can't do elective surgery, and they make their money on elective surgery. So he says, I'm losing way more than $6 million over that 5-year period. But if in 4 or 5 years you can start giving me twice as many nurses, I can get back into the black. So the key is just being out in the community and listening, and figuring out where the areas of strength for your institution are. For us, we've got an excellent nursing program. We do lots of other allied health programs as well. We've got radiology, we've got pulmonary, we do all kinds of good stuff. They're all at capacity, but the capacities are very small. So now that this program this is 2 years in, we're getting the first group out from the new cohort. Everybody's delighted. We met with his team last week and made an ask for our EMT program because we need more paramedics. Right now, the wait for an ambulance in Springfield is so long that I don't want to publicly say it. But it's certainly, if I start feeling palpitations, I'm driving myself. I'm not waiting for the ambulance. It's that bad. And I said, I think for us to he wants to triple the numbers. So I said, well, I don't need quite as many expensive toys for paramedics, but I'm still going to need about $3 million. He's not signed on the dotted line yet, but he's gonna. So the key is listening, knowing what the industries are, knowing what other kinds of things you can do, and doing your best to be responsive. In general, though, the one other thing that we are attempting and we have not completed doing, all of our program advisory committees all say the same thing. If there's one thing that they want from our graduates, it's this thing. What do you think the thing is? Not dropping your phone. What? Soft skills. They need to show up on time. They need to pants pulled up all the way. Yeah, soft skills. We are trying to figure out how in the regular liberal arts curriculum, we can get soft skills infused into everything. It's a hard sell. The English teachers are not quite sure that they're responsible for soft skills. And the pitch that I'm making is we're all responsible. Our students leave, and whether they complete a degree with us or not, they're Lincoln Land students, they're in the community, they're representing for us. They need to do it the right way. We need to help them to figure that out. So we're trying to infuse soft skills everywhere. If we can do that, I will have people knocking my door down to give us money to help us to expand other areas. So for me, in any case, the key to building community partnerships is being out there, seeing what the needs are, and responding to them. We've done other kind of more predictable things too. For instance, heavy diesel mechanics are in very short supply. If you don't own a tractor, you may not know that. But my father has a tractor, and he hasn't had anybody to look at it. He's been trying to get somebody for 9 months to get on that tractor. No big deal. My dad's got a hobby farm, and if if it doesn't get plowed, it doesn't matter. But if your beans aren't in, it matters. So we're getting that program started. I knew there was a need. It took me a while to figure out how to get it paid for, but that'll be starting up in the next couple of years. So it's keeping your ear to the rail and making sure that you know what your capacities are and that you're not ashamed or afraid to ask.
Excellent. Thank you. So with that concludes the three pre-scheduled or prearranged questions. So we'll move into the public forum section. I'm told that we have one person already queued up. After that, Any other person who is in the room, please put your hand down in the aisle, make eye contact with me or something. And those of you on Zoom, start typing in your questions. I've already got a couple. Please keep going. Thank you.
Hi, Dr. Lindquist. Wayne Community College is a top-tier institution. Tell us about your leadership style within the context of how you would continue those successes and how you're better able to do that in comparison to the other candidates.
I don't know how I can do it better than the other candidates. Looking at their resumes, I'm not quite sure I would be able to answer that. I obviously think I would do an excellent job. And frankly, this is the case. If I did not myself think that I could help this college be the best version of itself, I wouldn't have applied. That would be a horrible mistake. So obviously, I think I can do that. One of my skills, and I learned this from being married for 35 years, is I've learned to listen. I did not have that skill at the beginning. And that's true not only in my marriage, but actually in just as an administrator. When I was a brandly minted chair in Sullivan County, I had seen people make mistakes. I had seen my own chair do all kinds of silly things. And I said, well, I just cannot wait. When I'm in charge, I'm going to fix everything. It's only going to take me about a semester. It'll be fine. And I just fell on my face. It was horrible because, and even when I was right, nobody wanted to do what I wanted to do because who the heck is this kid? And what does he think? What I learned is that faculty especially, but also other groups in academia are really, really good at killing good ideas if you don't bring them to the table and let them be a part of the solution. So that's what I've learned to do. I listen. I think I know what the problem might be, but then I throw it out and let people tell me. If we did this, what do you think would happen? You get as many points of view out there as you can, and then you take a stab at it. You move forward, and if things aren't working, you make mid-course adjustments, and if they're still not working, you stop, and you start something else. So at this college, I know you're starting some new, especially in your area. There's some new programs. They're very promising. They look excellent. So it's time now to think about what comes next. What are those things? How will you know? And it's also time to think, okay, what programs are going to be sunsetting? Where are the places where we're going to have to say, you know what, this was what we needed to do in 1987, but now we need to do something else. Those are hard decisions. They have to be made by the group as a whole. But they're absolutely essential, I think. So I listen. I try never to make rash judgments. I try to figure out who the experts are, get them to the table, and then, and probably most importantly, once we've decided on a course of action, it's the president's job to communicate and message it. I've never been on a community college campus, where people said, communication here is great. I feel fully informed about what the administration wants, and I know exactly what I need to do to be successful. It's almost a joke. Whenever administrators get together, we always say, okay, so how bad is your communication plan? And say, oh, mine's pretty bad. Oh, mine's worse. But that really is, the buck stops with the president. Communication is what the president does. He needs to make sure that all the constituencies understand what the value is for any project, whether it's something you're just continuing or something you're starting, and to make that as clear as possible to everybody involved.
Excuse me. Thank you. I'll move to a quick question from our Zoom audience. And then again, if anyone in the room, please do flag me down, make eye contact with me, stare at me awkwardly or something. I'll definitely see you. I'll feel it if nothing else. Wayne Community College is proud of its military-friendly designation, but can always do more. How can we work better with our veterans, dependents, and active duty military?
I have to say, I'm not sure there's much you can do better. The college is doing a really excellent job. Frankly, I wish that my institution were doing as well. You have an office dedicated to this. You have folks who will walk military students and their families through exactly what needs to happen for them to get enrolled in courses and programs. It's really, frankly, pretty outstanding. If there are things that could make it better, I don't know that I would know it. I think what we would have to do is do some surveys of, and I'm sure we already do, I just don't know what they are. Do some surveys of people that you have served and to say, great, what could have been better? How could we have done better with you? What could have made this something that was a smoother, a less painful experience for you? But I have to say, it's one of the areas of special strength at this institution, and rightly so, given that you have a very large near neighbor.
Wonderful. We have an in-person question. Ms. Bird.
Hello, Dr. Lindquist. This is a leadership development question. You rose through the ranks to your current position. Do you have any plans or strategies to help current employees advance their careers? In other words, please elaborate on the importance of your plans for succession planning.
Succession planning. Well, I can tell you that honestly, when I became department chair, my plan was to do it for a few years and then go back to honest work. I really did. I said that to my at the time my academic vice president. I said, I'll do it for a couple of years, but I really want to teach Latin. I mean, that's really, sic transit gloria mundi. I just want to be there. And once I got into it, I realized that what he had been doing was succession planning. He was trying to figure out how I could be prepared to move into his role at some point. It's really one of the key things that academic administrators need to do is to seek out folks that you think might actually be good, that might actually find the kinds of things that you do to be valuable, rewarding, and where they could be successful at, and to encourage them to do the kinds of trainings, education, conferences, things like that, that will help them to see the possibilities in themselves. I've done that everywhere I've been. The uncomfortable thing can be occasionally, and as you can tell from my resume, I lived in New York and Virginia and Illinois, and so sometimes to make the next leap, you have to be willing to relocate, and that's if you don't have a wife like mine, that can be a problem. She's the most understanding person. She's to a fault, probably. Certainly to a fault. But at that time, you're actually making a commitment to the field. I've decided that for me, academic administration is really a passion. It's not something I see now as, serving my time on the dark side. There really is incredibly valuable work that has to be done today, or else higher education as an industry is really going to have some dark times. The number of high school graduates across the country, except in a few small pocket niche areas, is declining precipitously. And it's not likely to get better anytime within our lifetime. We need to figure this out. We need to figure out ways that we can make institutions like this not just solid, but strong in the face of these challenges. So to do that, we've got to identify the possible talented folks, encourage them to get the background that they need to do it, and then support them, even if what that means is encouraging somebody who you just absolutely adore and love working with and can't imagine the institution without, even if that means sending them up the road to some other place. I'm doing that right now and I know this is going to be available on the internets at some point, I'm doing
As
that
you speak, just what that's
Oh,
worth. Not
super.
later, now.
Jason, if you're watching, turn it off for a couple of minutes. I'm sure that my AVP, my academic AVP right now is not going to be with me much longer because he's just that good. He didn't think he was that good. I have helped him to see that he is, and he's going to be excellent. I hope he stays at my institution. I also hope that he doesn't.
Completely fair. Thank you. Next question also from our, actually in person, if you would, sir.
Dr. Lindquist, thank you very much for being here, sir. Okay, my question is, what your relationship going to be with the individual that come to the community college but only got a GED? How will you work with the ones that had a GED but don't have a high school education? How will your experience in the community college that where you at as far as GED is concerned?
Well, I can tell you that my father got his GED. His father died when he was 14. He was, to say he was at loose ends would be putting it mildly. I think today the proper term is that they were food insecure. He used to say they just went hungry. So he went into the Marines, probably having faked his birthday and went in a little earlier than he was supposed to, and came out of it. Still didn't have his diploma. Somehow registered for Pima Community College. He was in Arizona, and he was pretty successful for the first couple of weeks until they realized that he didn't have his high school diploma. So they kicked him out of school, and he went back and got his GED. He unfortunately, though, never went back to college after that, and I think it was a shame. He had various learning disabilities too. He was dyslexic and he stuttered. So the cards were kind of stacked against him, and just always having the GED. He said, "Well, I tried college once. I don't need to do it again." I think that we make a mistake if we do that. Students who are our GED students we're doing a service here to help folks get the credential they need. It is a community college's primary mission, no matter what your mission statement says, to meet students where they are. So if GED is where you are, I'm going to meet you there. It's my job. I have to. And after that, after I get you through the GED, it's also my job to not let you be like my father, but what's next? What do I do now? What can I do with the resources I've got available to me to make your life successful, whatever successful means for you?
Excellent.
Was there somebody waving in the back? No, she was just stretching. I'm sorry. Sorry, keep stretching. It's fine.
This was from our Zoom audience. What is your philosophy on community college's duty to in loco parentis, and what experience have you had managing campus crises, specifically shootings, natural disasters, and non-COVID disease outbreaks?
In loco parentis, I haven't heard that in a while. That's kind of an older Latin for me, in the place of the parent. Generally speaking, in loco parentis only really comes into fore if you've got a dormitory and students are there for long periods of time. So generally speaking, that's not a big deal in community college campuses, certainly not at campuses that have mostly part-time students. Part-time students have parentis or not, and in any case, you don't need to be their loco. So that is as far as that goes. The other part was campus crises.
Yes, sir.
I don't know this campus has dealt with its own, and I've been on campuses where that is sadly been the case. It's hard to make your peace with the fact that there is sometimes nothing you can do to keep a crisis from happening. There are just things that are outside of your control. Even if after the fact it seems like if only we had done this or only we had done that, things would have been different. In my opinion, most of the time that's magical thinking. You can't always stop horrible things from happening. What you can do is to be as prepared as possible. One of the things I did when I got to Lincoln Land was ask what our COOP plan was, a continuity of operation plan. Every college has one, except we didn't. And I said, wow, we really need, what if, just thinking, crazy here, what if some kind of horrible disease happens so that I got to shut my campus down overnight? What are we going to do? We did a tabletop exercise, and nobody really took it seriously. We were still working on our continuity of operations plan in February of 2020. So, yeah, we were not as prepared as we might have been. You have to have those plans. You have to review them constantly. The people who are the main players have to be involved in them on an ongoing basis. You have to have a number of responders on campus that are properly trained, so that if you have to set up, an external operations center, that where everybody goes, where you muster, everybody's got their kits, and you make that happen. I've been involved in those projects at Richard Bland. I was intimately involved in setting up that whole operation. We ran through scenarios once every couple of months. When I was in New York, we did have to respond, though it seems odd. I know you guys think you own hurricanes, but Irene shut some of our campuses down for 3 or 4 weeks. I was in the mountains of New York at the time, and when roads get washed out, you can't just retar them. It was a nightmare. Our college became the place where food and water and toilet paper were being distributed in the middle of winter. So I've been through those kinds of things, and I know that unfortunate things do happen, and that the best thing you can do is to train your people to be as prepared as you can be, to have your plan in place, to know where it is, and to follow it the best you can.
Another question from our Zoom audience. Excuse me. Wayne Community College has added several new programs recently. What do you see as the college's next academic frontier?
Maybe not a new program, believe it or not. Because that is, not that they're not necessary, but the easiest thing to do when you're facing an enrollment decline is to say, well, I'll start a new program and I'll get new students. Often what happens when you start a new program is you really take students away from a sort of similar program. So you don't really add a lot. I added a new track of an agriculture program. The intention was to increase the number of agriculture students. What I did was move these 13 students from this program to this program, and not much changed. I think probably the single most important academic thing that many colleges will be doing, and perhaps this one as well, in the near term, are programs to figure out how we can do a better job at identifying the at-risk student, the student who is likely not to succeed in class, more quickly than we currently do. When I was in school, midterm grades were the thing where you would, that was the gut check. It was like, okay, you better get things in place. We know now that if a student is failing math by midterm, they're failing math, period. So, figuring it out at that point doesn't really help you move the needle. If what I want to do is to figure out how to save that student, I need to figure out who he is, maybe before he fails. So, what are the indications? What are the things that could inform a data plan that would help me to find that out? Well, I think those are things that colleges will start doing increasingly. Many are. And I know you've got a Viso, I think. You're just starting out here. I'm more familiar with Neuro. I started that when we were at Richard Bland. But what you need to do, I think, as an academic institution, is to figure out who those students are by what other means you can, much earlier than you're currently doing. At Richard Bland, our goal was to know within the first 2 weeks who the students who were likely to fail were. We were pretty good at it. 75% of accuracy we had in our predictive tool. And basically it was not rocket science. I make it sound like rocket science when I say a predictive tool. Here's what we did. Did they have good attendance in the first 2 weeks of class? Yes or no? Did they fail an early low stakes assignment or not turn it in? Yes or no? If it was a yes to both of those questions, their chance of passing the class was nil. If it was a yes to one of those questions, it was shaky. So we decided to focus our attention on the latter. That is, if the students weren't coming to class and weren't turning their work in, we didn't focus on them, which seems counterintuitive, but we were trying at first just to get the most bang for our buck. So instead what we did was to say, okay, you didn't do well on your assignment, but you're coming to class. So what do we need? Is it, are you in the right class? Do you need more tutoring? Do you need other kinds of support? We often found that what they needed was not academic, but was non-academic. So students who were food insecure, for instance, couldn't concentrate. So we started a food bank on campus, and that made it. For students that weren't coming, but were still doing okay in getting their assignments in, we would say, so is transportation the problem? Is that the babysitter? What is it? What can we do? But we reached out to them proactively. So before they failed, we contacted them to figure out what we could do to keep them from having a D or an F at midterm. It works. It does work. So I think probably the next academic thing that most institutions are going to do is counterintuitively not necessarily to start a new academic program, but rather to make sure that we're doing a better job in the programs that we have. And we've got experts on campus who know. The faculty are in front of the students all the time, or virtually in front of them, virtually all the time. They know. If their students are not doing well, they know why. We need to figure out ways to get that information in one place and to get the information in the hands of the people that we think can make the most use of it. That's probably going to be academic advisors, success coaches, and faculty.
Excellent, thank you. Those of you watching your watches, since we began a few minutes late, I think we're going to run just a little bit longer, just to ensure that we're able to get as many questions as possible. The next one, also coming from our Zoom audience, is what is the role of the community college in economic development?
Well, in most places, economic development is intimately connected with the community college in two basic ways. The easiest one is that if you're trying to woo a new employer to the area, having a college is a big decisive factor. For instance, in Petersburg, Virginia, where Richard Bland College was, we got Rolls-Royce to open a plant there. Before my time, I didn't do it. I would love to be able to say that I did, but I didn't. The deciding factor was there were actually not only Richard Bland College or William & Mary, but also another community college within a very short spitting distance of that. And they could also drive to Virginia Commonwealth University as well. So they said, we're surrounded by colleges. This will be a great place for our employees to get continuing education and to raise their families. Without the college, it would not have been the case. They would not have located there, and they made that quite clear. So just having a college is a massive economic driver for an area. Find a county in the middle of the country that doesn't have a community college and compare it to one of the same population that does, and you'll see the difference in that. The other thing, obviously, is that it's the job of a community college to be responsive to the needs of industry and to see what kinds of things you can do to make things work economically for the common good. Colleges are there not only to make their students' lives more complete, but also to help the economic lives of everybody involved. Because no student is going to be successful on his own. Everybody lives in a community. I think COVID has shown us that none of us are islands. We all are in this together. So the college, and I think community colleges generally do a very good job of this. We recognize that it is our mission to make sure that we are located in and that we help to foster the success of the economic basis of our communities.
Excellent. Thank you so much. With that, I'm going to move to one final question that has also come from our Zoom audience. And after that, we'll move into any closing remarks that you may have. Okay. This one's fairly straightforward. What is the role of the community college in fundraising efforts?
You mean the community college itself?
President.
President, oh. Thank you.
My apologies.
Well, the president needs to make sure that he's working very closely with the foundation to make any kinds of acts like this happen. I was first involved in helping to get money for an institution when I was at the College of Technology at Delhi. I was approached by the person in charge of a foundation who said, I have got a potential donor who is rich as Croesus. She loves science. She wants to give us money. What should we do? I said, well, we should take the money is what we should do. But I said, what we really need to do, it needs to be a personal thing. So here's what I think we should do. The person I had at Delhi, who was he was just outstanding. His name was Jack Tessier. And he was a very innovative biology professor. He taught field biology, environmental biology, and the biology of beer, which is a very popular class. I said, his labs are just a hoot and a holler, and he's like a little teeny Grizzly Adams. She's gonna love it. Connected the two of them together. Before you know it, Dr. Tessier is having dinner at her house, and she completely re-outfitted 3 labs. Everything we need. It was outstanding. The foundation could not have done it without my assistance. I certainly could not have just gone to Rosie's house and said, Rosie, I need $150,000. Would you do this? So it's got to be a partnership. The folks who are already at the college have, by definition, been there longer than any external candidate for the presidency will have been. The dance has been going a long time, so I can't just come in and call the tune. I've got to make sure that I work with the folks who have been working on this a lot longer than I have, and who make the deal happen. One of the first things I did when I got to Lincoln Land is that we were this close to the biggest gift that I think any community college has received in its history. We got, at the time, it was $14 million. It actually turned out to be more than that because they gave us a bunch of stocks, and it was $14 million when they gave us, and then what the stock market's been doing this couple of years. So we've been spending all kinds of money out of the fund, and it still seems to be worth $14 million. So it's like a magic pot of money. Anyway, we were this close. It was for agriculture. It was this family, the Creer family, this lovely old couple, didn't have any children, really liked education, wanted to support agriculture. I now have a brand new agriculture building on campus. Everything is state of the art. I have a combine simulator. Did you know there was such a thing? Neither did I. I have crashed it any number of times. And it's great because if you crash an actual combine, $80,000, $90,000 problem. When you crash the simulator, you hit the button and you're good to go. And it was my job to kind of help to make sure that ask was sealed, that we did it right, that we got it, and that we formulated it the way it needed to be. We would not have done as well as we did without all of us working together as a team. The college president, myself, the foundation person, who had been working on this particular gift for 7 years. So it's a long game.
Thank you for those remarks. And with that, I'll close the public comment period, and we'll move directly into any closing remarks or final thoughts that you may have.
I want to thank you all again for coming. I want to thank the selection committee for bringing me here. I have had so far a delightful time. meeting with various people, looking around the campus again, and envisioning myself working with you all. It's been quite a pleasure. I hope that during this period that some of the answers that I've given have given you a sense of the kind of person I would be to work with, and how I would help you. I hope to be, sorry, this is me telling me to shut up. To be more successful in your own jobs, and for the whole college and community to be more successful. And the short answer is, would I fit? Would it work? And I'm doing the same thing. I'm looking around saying, okay, is this the kind of place I think I need to be? I think it is. But it's an important thing for you to consider. You've got a lot of good choices on the table. I absolutely understand that. And the number one thing I wish for is for this decision to go well for this college. I have a soft spot in my heart for this place now. I have for a while, but I really hope that it works out well. I know that this will probably make somebody mad, but I probably have a couple of minutes after this. So if you want to follow up on anything you asked, or if you were too shy to get up and get in front of the microphone and you want to ask me a question, I'll put my mask on and chat with you. You can ask me anything you want. One final thing. The average tenure of a college president these days is like 4 or 5 years. That's just the way it goes. They come someplace, they do a couple projects, they bug out. I will tell you this, I am not here for my first college presidency. I'm not interested in doing that. I'm interested in a college presidency. I want to put down my roots and be done. My wife has told me she is not wanting to move every 4 or 5 years anymore. So this is, if this is the kind of place that I decide that I'm going to be, I will be here for a while. So in any case, thank you again very much for putting the time and effort into this. It's been delightful to chat with you. Thanks again.
Dr. Lindquist, thank you for your time. Thank you for the trip. We realize that this takes a lot. It takes a lot to have you and your wife come halfway across the continental United States, and we're grateful for your time and the amount of effort that you've obviously put into this event. So thank you. Members of our board, I think y'all have appeared at pretty much everything we've done for the last few weeks, especially. Would y'all please stand? They're all over the room. We're so appreciative. Thank you. We recognize that this is not an easy choice. We recognize this is a lot of time that you're committing outside of your own professions and your own careers and your own families, and y'all are doing as volunteers. So thank you so much. We're truly grateful. Everyone, remember, there's feedback to be delivered. There's feedback to be delivered to these folks who were able to be with us today. Please do take a few moments, go to our website and go on the presidential search pages and submit feedback. Give them some guidance. They want to know. They have reinforced to me every time to please make sure that I say that.
This is like Star Search. You're not supposed to do the voting.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Vern Lindquist.